I've caught hundreds of shiny Pokemon in Cobblemon. Some people call me lucky, but I promise you it's not luck. It's what I do before the hunt that makes a difference. I'm Callie, aka the Shiny Empress, and after 2 years of trial and error, I've got my setup down to a system. Here's everything I do before I ever throw a Pokeball, so your next hunt actually works. The very first thing you're going to want to add to your world is a map. I personally play with xaero's minimap and world map, as you can see here up in the top right hand corner, but I will leave all of the links in the description below. Along with the map, you'll want to add a resource pack so you can get the icons of the Pokemon on the map like I have. This helps you see when a shiny Pokemon spawns in and is especially helpful if it's outside of the distance you can see in the world while playing. I personally play with Minnie's Cobblemon icons. Again, you can find the link in the description of this video. When you do enable Minnie's Cobblemon icons resource pack, you'll need to go into your minimap settings, the entity radar settings, and set display icons to always. This will let the icons show on your map, which will let you see the shiny sparkle at the top right of the Pokemon icon and the color change for a shiny. Of course, you can choose not to play with the map and Cobblemon icons, however, you will lose out on finding shinies. I don't know how many times I've explored my world and had a shiny spawn at the very edge of the map that I only saw because of the map and would have missed it as it was behind a hill and not in range for the shiny sparkle sound. In most of my worlds, I play with shiny odds set to 1 in 6,000. However, the shiny odds in Cobblemon are set to 1 in 8,192, so here's how to change the odds if that is something you would like to do. Simply go to your .minecraft folder that holds the instance of your game. I personally use the Prism Launcher for my Minecraft instances, so I can simply navigate to the instance I want to adjust and open the main folder. Inside this folder, open the .minecraft folder, then navigate to the config folder, and inside of that, the Cobblemon folder. I know, there's a whole lot of folders here. When you open the Cobblemon folder, you'll see a .json file called main that you'll want to open. Once you have it open, scroll down until you see shiny rate and change the 8,192 to whatever number you would rather. Make sure to save your changes and restart your game to have the changes come into effect. Remember, if you are playing on a public server, you cannot change these odds unless you own the server yourself. However, there are other things you can do to increase your shiny odds if you can't change them in the config. More on that later. With our shiny odds to where we want them and a map to scan for shinies, you're ready to jump into your brand new world and get to shiny hunting. I am currently recording this video in Cobblemon 1.7, so if you're watching this and playing a version earlier than 1.7, some of the things I'm going to mention won't be possible. And there is more being added in future Cobblemon updates I'll cover in another video. But if you're starting a brand new Cobblemon world like this one right here, there are 4 farms you'll want to build immediately. A honey bottle farm, a hardy grain farm, a vivichoke farm, and a starfberry farm. These are the farms that will produce the materials needed to craft Pokesnacks, which are useful in shiny hunts. You'll also need access to cows for their milk buckets, or you will need a milk tank to use glass bottles on them and get moo milk. That is the other ingredient you will need for the Pokesnacks. If you're wondering how to design these farms, I'll leave a list of the farm tutorials I've used in the past down in the description below. For your honey bottle farm, I highly recommend not using beehives with combies in them. Combies phase through transparent blocks. As you can see here up above my farm, we have a combi just sitting there. And I've just found they're a super huge pain to try and make automatic farms with. Save yourself the headache and build a honey bottle farm using the Minecraft bees. You will get so much more honey and it will be so much easier for you. One of the honey farms I tried to build on the Battlecraft SMP had combies that just decided they didn't want to enter their hive anymore. And there are even other combies in the farm who simply phased through the transparent blocks and escaped. Definitely not worth the pain. To find hardy grains, you'll need to explore your Cobblemon world. You'll typically find some on the edge of small ponds or rivers as they need water to grow in. If you're wanting to build an automatic farm for these, you can use the same design you would for a sugarcane farm. I've done this here in my Shiny Living Dex world and it works really well. They just grow a little bit slower, so you might want a larger farm than I have here. Vivichoke seeds can be found throughout your world in loot chests in jungle temples, villages, shipwrecks, and mine shafts. In vanilla Cobblemon, there isn't an automatic farm that you can build, but you could try a semi-automatic where water is dispensed over the field of Vivichokes and then you replant the seeds by hand. Arguably, the hardest material to gather will be the Cobblemon berries, as this requires a lot of exploration throughout your world and crossbreeding to get the mutated berries. There are now 70 different variants of berries, and they are all useful in some way or another. However, if you don't want to get all of them at once, definitely aim to get starf berries as quickly as possible, as adding just one will give your Pokesnacks a 5 times chance of spawning a shiny. Starf berries are a mutated berry you'll get from crossing a Pomeg with either a Tomat, Kelpsie, Qualit, Hondu, or Greppa berry. All of these berries are mutated versions, so you'll need to check out the Cobblemon wiki where it lists which berries planted together will mutate into one you need. I highly recommend getting the 30 natural berries as soon as possible, so you can over time mutate the remaining 40 berries. And as berries take a while to grow, it's also really useful to have a skeleton XP farm for bones or some other bone meal farm like a moss farm. Once you have all of these farms set up, you can look at building the rest of the farms when you are able. These farms are an apple farm and a gold farm. While enchanted golden apples are the very best item for increasing your shiny chances in Pokesnacks and Pokebait, they are also really hard to find. So golden apples are your next best plan. But building a gold farm isn't exactly an early game project, so sticking with starf berries early is the way to go. On the Battlecraft SMP, where I was a member for a few years, there was a large gold farm that I spent a lot of time at in the Nether. And it enabled me to make over 4,400 golden apple Pokesnacks that I used to catch a shiny Aerodactyl. Without that gold farm, it could have been so many more Pokesnacks to finally get my shiny Aerodactyl. If you're going the Pokebait route, you'll need a wheat farm and a brown mushroom farm, as you'll already have your honey bottle farm. While these farms are arguably easier to build than the farms above, you'll still need the starf berries, golden apples, or enchanted golden apples for that increased shiny chance. Using Pokesnacks is one of the methods of shiny hunting available in vanilla Cobblemon. So let's talk about how to craft them and the strategy you'll want to employ while using them. First, if you're looking for Pokesnacks to be your quick trick to getting shiny Pokemon, think again. I spent over 35 Pokesnacks using a mix of golden apples and starf berries to finally catch a shiny Pokemon. And when I attempted to hunt for the shiny Aerodactyl, it cost me over 4,400 Pokesnacks to catch a single one. You might have insane luck and catch one immediately, but it is definitely a long game thing and not something that will give you an instant shiny. You also need to be careful. If there are way too many Pokemon spawned in, your Pokesnacks will stop spawning in the new Pokemon. I wanted to keep fossil Pokemon in boats, thinking that once they got in the boat, they'd be out of the Pokemon spawn cap, and I could use them later. That was not the case, and a number of my Pokesnacks stopped working because there were simply too many Pokemon in one area. If you are shiny hunting a specific Pokemon like my shiny Aerodactyl, you'll want a berry that will make them spawn faster. I personally use type berries for this, like Rock and Flying, but some people do tell me that it's better to use EV yield berries. It all depends on what you want. If you don't care what Pokemon you spawn to be shiny, then put all shiny seasonings in the Pokesnack. If you want to specify, then you need to use only 1 or 2 shiny increased seasonings and then 1 or 2 type or EV berries. Right now, I'm shiny hunting for a shiny Bulbasaur, and the best seasonings for spawning in a Bulbasaur are Hondu berries for special attack EV yield, Rindo berries for a 10 times chance grass type, and Lum berries for the Monster Egg group Pokemon. I'll drop each of these into the pot one by one, and I'll leave the full seasoning combo on screen so you can screenshot it for your own hunts. Now, if you'd rather run a shiny booster instead of one of these berries, you absolutely can. Just know you're trading targeted spawns for a slightly better shiny rate. Totally up to you and your hunt. I have Cobblemon Unchained in my world to help increase my shiny chances, so adding in a shiny booster isn't necessary for me, but add it in if you'd prefer the increased shiny chance. If this kind of deep dive shiny hunting content is something you enjoy, hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot more content coming your way, including a breakdown of the Cobblemon Unchained mod. Pokebait is the second method you can use to shiny hunt in Cobblemon, and they work similar to Pokesnacks. However, I personally have not used Pokebait, so I can't really give you any personal experience on use. But you'll need a piece of wheat, a honey bottle, and brown mushrooms, plus your seasonings to make yourself 4 Pokebaits. This can then be placed on your poke rod with a right click and simply start fishing. If you do attempt this method or have attempted this method of shiny hunting in the past, please let me know down in the comments what your results were. I would love to hear them, and I would love to do one of my own shiny hunting challenges using Pokebait in the near future. I have covered a lot about setting your world up for success with shiny hunting, but there's a few more practical tips that can really be helpful. Number 1, know where the Pokemon you're hunting will spawn. On the Cobblemon wiki, there is a Google Excel sheet with all the Cobblemon spawns and what biome they spawn in. Make sure it's handy to you and double check if you're unsure. It would really suck to spend hours hunting in a savanna biome for a shiny Ponyta only to find out they are an uncommon spawn there, but a common spawn in the Nether Waste biome. Number 2, set up your biome for easy shiny hunting. If you know you're going to be there a while, it helps a lot to smooth out a path you can easily walk through, or even set up a slow-moving minecart rail to make traversing through the biome easier. I shiny hunted for a Riolu who is a rare spawn in mountain biomes. To make it easier and to go through less food, I spent the time to make a slow-moving minecart track around the whole Stony Peaks biome I was hunting in. That way I could have the map open, and the minute I saw a Riolu, I could jump out and add it to my streak, as I was using Cobblemon Unchained. In my upcoming Shiny Living Dex world, where I am right now, I have carved an easy to traverse path through the jungle to help with exploring for more Pokemon spawns. At the end of the day, you want to do whatever you can to increase the amount of Pokemon spawning, because with more spawning Pokemon, there is more chances for one to be shiny. Yes, you can use things like Pokesnacks or Pokebait, but simply exploring the world and spawning in Pokemon has yielded me way more Pokemon than staying in one spot. So make sure you're exploring your world and moving constantly. Number 3, pay attention to your minimap. It is so ingrained in me now that I constantly have one eye on the map as I'm exploring my world and building up my base. You never know when you might see a sparkle on the map and you don't want to miss it. And finally, have fun. Shiny hunting can be both an intense and hard activity, but also such a rewarding one when that shiny spawns. Keep focused on your goal and you will achieve it. And don't forget to take breaks. I'm currently doing a massive shiny hunt in one of my worlds where I'm hunting for all 18 types of Pokemon as blue shinies. It's intense and taking me an incredibly long time, but when I got halfway through, I took a break and now I am back hunting for the next 9. And I'm so excited to catch all of them. Let me know in the comments if this video was helpful and any shiny hunting challenges you've done or would like me to do. And definitely check out my shiny Aerodactyl hunt on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye for now.